You've often heard the term let peace reign. And over the last few months, there's been a sharp focus on how we as average citizens can help in the prevention of crime. This is Positive Pulse. I'm your host, Rashid Holder, and on today's episode, we'll be speaking with Director of the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit of the Attorney General's Office, Mrs. Cheryl Willoughby, as she speaks to us about what her unit is doing to help in the prevention of crime. Cheryl, thank you for joining me on Positive Pulse and welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, firstly, what I would want to know is what does the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit do?
Right. We are the research arm. This department is the research arm of the Office of the Attorney General. We are criminologists here. We conduct primary and secondary research to measure the nature and extent of crime. And based on our findings, we disseminate our information so that policymakers and our partners can implement programs that are relevant to the statistics, meaning that it is targeted intervention that they're doing based on our research. Quite recently, we would have launched the Barbados Crime Observatory as well,
Yeah.
where we collect data from all the criminal justice agencies. We input that data into a database and we produce research, evidence, information, statistics that enable our policymakers to see where the crime is, also to make predictions as to where crime will be elevated in the future. And what that also does is enable the National Peace Program and other stakeholders who are actually doing programming to be able to have specific target or populations, because we don't want the interventions to be all over the place,
Yeah.
but we want them to be targeted so that the resources that are being used are not wasted on, say, areas and populations that are not the ones that are at risk at this time.
Now, you would have spoken about working with the National Peace Program.
Yes.
So would they be considered a strategic partner then in terms of implementing, as you say, a lot of the policies and also driving the decisions that are being made by the unit?
Absolutely, because we are not an implementing agency. We do not implement programs. We do the research, we give the information, and then you have the programs set up by government and non-governmental organizations that utilize the statistics and the information to plan their programs. And the National Peace Program has been doing that quite effectively,
Yeah.
where we are meeting with them on a regular basis to share our information, to share where the hotspots are, to share where it is necessary for them to do particular interventions. And based on that, I can say that they're doing a good job at reaching out to the youthful population and implementing programs that are necessary.
Now, Crime Awareness Month begins
Yes.
November 1st and
Yes.
runs right up till the 30th of November.
Yes.
What is the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit doing as it relates to bringing more awareness during that period of time?
Yes, we are coordinating Crime Awareness Month along with the National Peace Program. It is based on the theme engaging youth to prevent offending and reoffending.
And why primarily is that theme or has that theme been chosen
Absolutely.
this year?
It's based on our research as well. Currently, Barbados has a very high recidivism rate. Recidivism means reoffending. People are incarcerated, they're arrested, they're charged for offenses, and 6 months later, we are seeing them before the law court again.
Yeah.
So it is to build that awareness to prevent young people from getting involved in crime in the first place and to prevent them from reoffending so that when rehabilitation is conducted at the prison
Yeah.
and the persons are released, then we are not going to see them back before the court and interfacing with the criminal justice system. So this theme is based on our research and the need for us to educate members of the public the importance of getting involved in crime prevention efforts so that we can stymie some of what we are seeing within our communities.
Okay, and what are some of the initiatives that are being put on during that month? Can you
Right.
speak to some of those events?
Sure. We have a poster competition that starts on November 1st. This is targeting primary and secondary schools. So we are using a particular theme surrounding violence, gun violence, and so on, so that it can build awareness within the schools about the need to have safe schools,
Yeah.
safe school environments. As you are aware, we have been getting reports of incidents of violence within our schools.
Much more reports are being
yes,
reported
So it's to
in this
build
time.
that awareness and to get the young people involved in decision making. That's important.
Yeah.
For them to play active roles in crime prevention. So that for poster competition targets primary and secondary schools. It commences on the 1st of November. We'll be having a prayer breakfast beginning at 10 o'clock on November the 3rd at Golden Square,
Yeah.
where youth will lead the worship.
And these are from various areas?
These are from all the communities that the National Peace Program, these are communities that the National Peace Program are currently working in.
Yeah.
You're going to have young people from these communities conducting the worship. They are going to be bringing the word, and they are also going to be giving inspirational thoughts to the young people. We are also going to invite young people from all the communities to come out and worship with us. And this is an opportunity for them to be part of what is going on,
Yeah.
as well as to let them know that there's a nation built on God's word and guidance, and to invoke God's presence into what we're doing and into our society.
And I started to think, because the truth is that in my heart, even if not in my head, there was agreement with my uncle that I needed to do better. But the question for me was, what does better look like? And there's so many young people today, I'm sorry, because your worship got me a little passionate, but there's so many young people today that do not have a vision for better. And unfortunately, if you cannot see something, it becomes extremely difficult for you to say yes to it.
And that theme seems to be very necessary because we've heard a lot of people speak to that lack of morality and the fact that not having that grounding is part of the reason why we're seeing this prevalence of crime and violence in our society. What impact are you looking, or is your organization seeking to have by putting on these events?
Well, what we are trying to do, in essence, is to build awareness. And we are starting off with the prayer breakfast to send the message that we can't do anything without God's presence, and God has to be our leader and our guide initially in what we do. So that's why we are starting with the prayer breakfast. But it is also to empower young people to take control of the crime situation, for them to be decision makers, for them to engage with us, to see how best we can work together with them to control what we are seeing right now with regard to the gun violence and the other violence that we are seeing in our society. So primarily we want to engage our young people in these activities, and one such activity is the youth community tournament we are going to be having at it was supposed to be at Lloyd Erskine Sanford Center. We are now taking it to the Esplanade on Bay Street, where we are inviting young people to come and showcase their talents, who can cook. It's around Independence, so we want to taste your conkeys, your fish cakes,
Bring out their culinary skills and
Yes.
showcase their skill set in a very creative way.
Yes, because God has blessed each and every one of us with a skill. So we just want them to come out, showcase your skill, and be rewarded for your effort.
Now, the focus is primarily on the youth. And can you speak to why that is the case?
Because as the research will show, that's the target population as that we want to target.
Yeah.
Over 95% of violent crimes in Barbados right now is being committed by youth between the ages of 15 and 35. And in an effort to address that, we have to target the population that we believe are the ones that need the most resources, focus on them. So that's why we are focused on the youth. The youth population, they're the ones who are to carry on after us.
Yeah,
They're
they
the ones
continue the legacies.
who are to continue the legacy, who's primarily to keep Barbados afloat
And who will be leading this country at some point in time.
at some point in time. So a country without a strong youthful population is a country that has problems.
You've spoken about some of the programs that the unit is obviously focusing on
Right.
during Crime Awareness Month. But is there anything in particular that stands out that you would want to bring a lot more awareness to the public's attention?
Yes, there is a Speak Off competition that will be live on Starcom Network 92.9 on November 9th.
My favorite station.
And it will be young people discussing and debating topics related to violence and gun violence within our communities. That will feature the 16 to 18 age group where they come into studio and there's a competition. We have 3 judges, and based on that, they will be rewarded the first prize, second prize, third prize winners. So listen out for that on November the 9th, starting at 6 o'clock in the evening.
6
We're going to
p.m.
have a live Speak Off competition, hearing our young people debate. They would have done research on the topic of gun violence and violence within the communities, and it's important that we come out and give them the support.
Media isn't all bad though. There are actually a lot of positive things out there. There are shows and campaigns that promote empathy, that are pushing empathy, standing up against bullying and promoting kindness. When we see these things, we are reminded of the fact that violence isn't cool, and there are other ways to handle things.
I think it's always
And
good to hear
listening.
the youngsters articulate themselves, most definitely.
Absolutely. And finally, we have community activity on November the 29th, a pre-independence activity where we are going to have young people from the communities of Thorpes and Haynesville and Halls Village and those areas around there coming to Hoyts Plainfield
Yeah.
and Pavilion, where they're going to be a football competition and a T10 cricket competition, tape ball. We don't want any hardball, a tape ball competition.
Yeah.
And that begins at 9 o'clock. So I'm also inviting members of the public to come out and give the young people some support.
Yeah, and I do believe that, once the youngsters get the support that is required,
Yeah.
especially in a positive way,
Yes.
it really impacts them in such a way that they want to continue doing
You're right.
these type of events, which takes them away from the deviance and what's not.
Absolutely, and sports is important.
It is.
Because it engages young people. It's something other than criminal activity. It helps them to utilize their energy
And their social skills.
and build team building exercises and so on, and
Correct.
the importance of playing as a team. So we have to encourage these activities for the young people. So I look forward to doing all this.
You're going to be playing? You're going to be playing in any of the games?
I am going to be the biggest
Alright.
supporter, the loudest cheerleader on the sideline
problem.
because I love young people.
Yeah.
It is my life work. I've been doing this for 40 years and I love it.
Well, we definitely don't want to deviate from our moorings too much, as we are a Christian-based society
Yes.
primarily, and I definitely want to say thank you on behalf of the average citizen out there
Yes.
for the work that your unit has been doing
Thank
and
you.
is continuing to do in the fight against crime here in Barbados. I'm your host, Rashid Holder. This has been another episode of Positive Thoughts.